When I hear the term passive income, it makes me think of people watching money pass them by as they sit idly, hoping that it's just going to be mailbox money and it's going to be easy. And this is where the get-rich-quick schemes come and take and confiscate wealth from people. Or when people talk about financial freedom because they're funding retirement plans. Retirement plans are the opposite of financial freedom. Financial freedom is a state of mind. It's a state of being. It's not a state of having. Financial freedom is when money is no longer your primary reason or excuse why you would do or not do something. Let me say that again. It's not your primary reason or excuse for doing or not doing something. Money's still a consideration. It's not the only consideration, which means there's three measures of worth. The three measures of worth are price, cost, and value. Price is what we pay. People that focus on being miserly and cutting back and scrimping and saving, they think about all the time obsessing about what they can eliminate. So they look for low price deals and they'll spend hours shopping to save a few bucks or drive across town to save a few bucks on gas. The second measure though is cost. Cost is the economic impact or ramifications of our decisions. So let's say that I pay a little bit more for an account, but they save me a lot more in taxes. High price, low cost. Or let's say I pay a little bit more for a seat on an airplane so I can type the whole time and work on a book versus not pay that a little extra, and the cost is I can't work on it and there's the value of my time. So those are just a couple examples, price versus cost. And the last one is value. Value is your overall feeling of satisfaction, joy, and fulfillment. And a lot of people don't look at value-based spending. They don't look at guilt-free spending because they're stuck in a paradigm that you got to hold on to what you have and it's about what you could scrimp and budget, not about what you could create. So that reductionist-based thinking is never going to create financial freedom because you'll end up with money that you either can't spend or won't spend because you're addicted to holding on to what you got. And everything that taught you to be a miser will stick with you in retirement years. So people that are financially free start with value first. Why do I value this? Do I value this? The cost second. What are the economic impacts? And the price third. So if I can get a lower price vehicle that I pretty much love the same, I'm going to go with the lower price one every time. But what if there's one that's a little bit higher price, but I find so much more value in it? Like the truck that I bought. Okay, well that's value-based spending. Not what other people think you should spend money on, not what you feel guilty about spending money on, but something that if you can pay cash for it and you've already paid yourself first and saved money, then you have permission to enjoy life along the way. When people hear the word expense, it's usually a negative connotation, like it sits in the belly. Expense, gotta avoid expenses. But your expense is someone else's income. And your income is someone else's expense. It's how we exchange with one another. It's how we serve others and solve problems. If we try to do everything ourselves, it takes way more time. It's a lot more frustrating in the long run. So ultimately, what would it take to free you up to do what you do best? Financial freedom is when you get to choose what you want to do on a day-to-day basis. Financial freedom is when you know what you're doing with your money and you're beginning with value first and price is one of the later considerations. Where recurring revenue or economic independence is having enough income coming in from assets or entrepreneurial income that doesn't require daily involvement. It might seem passive, but there's a passive index. I mean, nothing's purely passive. I mean, even if you're part of the Lucky Sperm Club and you get money just for where you were, what family you're born into, you still kind of have to probably go to stuff and put on a good smile and face sometimes. But I look at it as recurring revenue instead of passive income. The truth is, passive income is a myth. Like, people want something for nothing, and that's destructive to the soul of the human being. It's more about taking than giving. What I want you to do is focus on a producer paradigm, creating more value than you take. Looking at what could you do that creates recurring revenue and cash flow. Focus on cash flow. Think about cash flow. That's the truth. Cash flow and recurring revenue so that it continues, but you are still responsible. You're still involved, but maybe not daily, maybe not even weekly. But overall, you still maintain it through management and monitoring it. And that's the real truth about passive income. Most retirement planning is not going to create financial freedom for you. Is there a amount of money in a bucket or in a bank account that you can be like, okay, now I'm safe? Because in Zimbabwe, you can go buy $1 trillion note for a few bucks, right? They just got inflated. Or there are times in Russia where people knocked over wheelbarrows and it's still the wheelbarrow that was full of money because you had to have a wheelbarrow full of money just to get a loaf of bread, or there was a peso crisis. Money is not power, it's efficiency when properly used. And you're never going to be financially free with a certain amount of money because if you're in scarcity, more money equals more problems, just like Biggie Smalls says. Oh, I have more to lose. I don't know how I'm going to keep this. What about the taxes? And then people get consumed in their mindset in such a struggling way. The truth is, focus on recurring revenue. Be responsible for that. Take some time up front to become a better investor. Don't just hand your money over blindly and think you're going to get rich quick, that someone has a great options trading strategy, or someone's got this easy turnkey real estate thing that doesn't require any thinking. The reality is, when you shirk responsibility or abdicate responsibility, you lose. When you think it's completely passive, it passes you by. It's time to finally wake up and take responsibility for our finances. But the good news is, you don't have to know everything about everything out there. If you love real estate, learn about it. If you hate it, stay away from it. If you love businesses, learn more, invest there. If you're not sure and that scares you, that's not right for you. Investor DNA. Not every investment is good for the same person. Risk is in the investor, not the investment. So when I look at people that are investing in things because they heard it was good from a guru, or they saw someone else that made money in it and they try to mimic or copy, they get misled because their brain and their mental capital and their investor DNA is different. So the truth is, they have no financial freedom because they have no clue what the outcome is. And retirement is the opposite of financial freedom because people are no longer responsible for the outcome of their income. So when people get to retirement, they're like, okay, cool, interest rates tell me how much I can spend. Well, interest rates are low, retirees are getting hammered. Number two, if taxes go up, that lowers the amount of income I can have. So now they're kind of enslaved instead of free to whatever happens with taxes and interest rates. And inflation, you know, we've been adding a lot of money to the economy lately, and right now there's a deflation where there might be less demand, but eventually inflation comes in and it starts to confiscate our purchasing power. So there isn't freedom when you're worried about inflation, taxes, and interest rates, and you have no control over that income because it's the markets that dictate it for you. That's not financial freedom. When you can retire from retirement, when you can create a life that you don't want to retire from, that's freedom. When you have excitement and choice in what you do every day, and it's consistent with value creation at the core of who you are, what I call soul purpose, which is your values, which is how you operate, it's your abilities, which is what you're most competent in, and it's your passions, which you want to pay attention to for the highest concepts of living. When you have a vision that's going to live beyond you, you don't have to worry about, oh, well, can I live for 30 years on interest only, because you're still engaged in life. Now, if you're like my family and you're coal miners, probably retire from that. But if you can find something like I've found that I love, whatever it is for you, then I actually wake up excited in what I'm doing every day. I'm not doing it just for money. I'm doing it for the excitement of artistic expression and creation and content and value and service. So find that spot for you. Passive income will pass you by if you're just handing your money over. Don't be passive. Create an active situation up front to create more recurring revenue so it feels more passive because of the investment you made up front. Know what you do, why you're doing it, and financial freedom is a choice that you have in this moment when money is no longer your primary reason or excuse why you do or not do something. Want to master your money? Want to figure out the things that you could do to improve your finances? Click here and check out more videos like this on Money Matters.